What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. We have a special episode today with a really cool guy that's been in the boat industry for quite some time. He's building a new boat right now. But before we get into that, I want to thank the podcast show partners, Free Fly Apparel, Afueta Coffee, Trout Routes. And if you want to get a free month of Trout Routes, use the link in the show notes, get you a free month. And also Cordina Eyewear. If you would like to save on your shipping when ordering Cordina shades, honestly, some awesome shades. I have the Lowlanders, and honestly, it's probably the most versatile pair of shades I have ever owned. They are freaking awesome. So if you want to get free shipping on your Lowlanders, use the show notes link and or use rise_flies CLT at checkout to save all of your shipping. Last but not least, Yeti coolers. Those are all of our show partners, and I appreciate them for being a part of this. We have Tom Mitzlaff, the founder of Mitzi Skiffs, Inshore Boatworks, and Solo Skiff, coming on the podcast today to talk about his new boat that he is building, the Versa 18. Super cool boat. If you haven't seen it, badass boat, kind of Panga style. But it's awesome. Can't wait to get him on. And until he gets on here, thank you for listening. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. We have an interview today. It's going to be a pretty good one, especially if you're into boats. It's probably a familiar name in the industry. I'm gonna kick it over to you to let you introduce yourself a little bit, Tom.
Okie doke. Well, hey, first, Ryan, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Always fun to talk to like-minded people. But, yeah, I'm Tom Mitzlaff, and as in Mitzi Skiffs, that's where the name Mitzi came from. It was kind of like a high school nickname, and also the founder of Solo Skiff and Inshore Power Boats, and now I'm building a new boat called the Versa 18 under the Inshore Boatworks, and that's me, man.
Sweet, man. I've been seeing pictures of that new boat. First off, absolutely unbelievable boat. Can you tell us a little bit about that boat real quick, what you're doing, and like kind of the background of that boat a little bit?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, it's kind of it's a short, long story, but I had this thing in my mind for quite a while. And first off, okay, so I call it the Versa 18. It's actually 18 foot 5. And it's 45 inches wide. It's a long, narrow Panga style micro skiff, you could call it. And I know that whole micro thing kind of gets abused and, used a lot. But anyway, where it came from, I came up with this idea when I was just sitting around one night, kind of like when I came up with Solo Skiff and other things. But, it popped in my mind, and what it is, and I'm not taking jabs at certain companies or anything like that, but there's a lot of small style, like canoeish looking, square back boats. There's a lot of, there's a lot of small boats that people buy because basically they're inexpensive and, and they get popular, and I've had some, plenty of experiences on all sorts of craft, and I kept thinking, man, why hasn't somebody made like a micro-ish Panga and built in the USA? And anyway, I just started playing around with this idea, and I just kind of sat in on, I didn't really stick it on the back burner. I played with it. I actually printed a 3D model of it, a scale model. I tow tested it next to my solo skiff, tank tested it. I ran the numbers on it. And I don't know, I just never really got motivated about doing it. And fast forward a couple of years, and I was just looking at the kind of the whole industry.
Yeah.
And everything from, what's out there to, things I've done and things I talk to people about and prices. And I said, you know what? This boat kind of goes back to my roots with the first Mitzi 15. And, the first boat I ever made was a wood strip canoe. And then I made a little Polynesian outrigger. And, I've always been kind of that, I just like doing something different. And I didn't really know, just like when I made solo, I didn't know how people would perceive it. And so back in February, I told a friend of mine, I said, you know what? I'm going to open up a new fiberglass shop and I'm going to build that. And now you want to hear what I called it at first? It was a horrible name. And a friend of mine who's a fishing guide down in the Keys, Russell Therapin, we're sitting there talking. He goes, you can't call it that. So it's like a panga meets a canoe. And I just called it a pangu one day, and I laughed. I said, that's a stupid name, but I just kept calling it that. And then one day Russell looks at me and he goes, I was down at his house in Isla Mirada, and he goes, man, call it the Versatile or something. And I said, oh man, that'll kind of stick. And anyway, I ended up shortening it to Versa 18. And, like I said, it's a canoeish like panga. It's definitely different. They weigh about 325 pounds, the bare hull. And, man, I'm excited as anything, and sales are great. And it kind of caught me off. I really didn't know what would happen, but it's a fun little boat, man. And I've been doing nothing but solo skiffing since the Mitzi days, basically. And I'm having a heck of a lot of fun with this little boat.
Sweet, man. So where have you taken it recently? I know you're kind of bringing it to a few different places and showing it off. And
well, the only places I've really been, I've been around the Jacksonville area and up to Fernandina, Nassau Sound, out in the ocean to some sandbars. I went down to the Keys. The weather was looking really good, and I went down there and I went out with a buddy, and I there's some videos of him on the front of the boat. And the second day I put it in the water, I threw my drone up, did some videos of me poling it solo. And as soon as I landed the drone and put the drone away, I'm calling my buddies, laughing, going, man, this thing poles insanely good. And one of my buddies is like, really, really? I go, dude, I said, I'm not kidding. For a solo boat, on the platform, I said, I was kind of shocked. And I'm all fired up, Ryan. I'm like,
yeah.
When you do something and you're like all happy about it. And I look offshore. Okay, I was down by Bahia Hondas where I was at. And I look offshore, and man, and I already knew the weather conditions. I had already looked. I didn't just blindly take offshore. And I'm like, man, heck with it. I'm going to go to the reef. The reef's about 4 miles out. So I go out there, and there's several boats out there. And, I can looking up to, looking over to my left, which is, east, northeast, back up towards Marathon. I can see the Molasses Reef light. And I'm like, okay, there we go. There's my navigation. And so I just keep going. And I pass the reef, and you know how the water goes from that deep green and it starts turning, dark green, and then it starts getting that blue hue. And the next thing I know, I'm in cobalt water, and there's flying fish everywhere, and there's weed lines, and I keep pulling up to these massive weed lines, and I had a pretty stout, I had basically, it would be like a bull redfish rod. Maybe not even really for the real big bulls, but anyway. And I tied a big soft bait on it with about a 1/2 ounce head, and I keep pulling up to him and casting out in front of me and letting the jig go down. And I'm looking for blue or green. I'm looking for mahi, peanuts, And but there was nothing out there. I actually found out that night. I called a buddy, Dan Diaz, and said, man, because I knew he was out on a charter as a mate that day, and he said the mahi were all like 20 miles out. But I went about somewhere 9-10 miles out. And it was, man, I could not have been more thrilled with that boat. And then I got back I was out there a couple hours screwing around, and I knew I was low on fuel. I was like, I better get my silly butt back in, and I came back, and I've run around Jacksonville and in the Intercoastal and the St. Johns River. I just, kind of just went around and, checked it, and, and chopped and wind, some of those videos are on my, different social medias, but that's what I've done.
Sweet, man. Damn, that's a long way offshore for a for a pango.
Well, you don't want to hear something? I got a couple of one of my buddies and one of my brothers goes, man, I know you know what you're doing, and you designed that thing and blah blah blah. But man, that was I don't know, man. That's kind of sketchy, isn't it? Going 10 miles by yourself, second time you ever throw the sucker in the ocean. And I just laughed. I said, man, well, what got my brother was the fact that he could tell I was standing up on the back of the boat because okay. My butt against the front of the polling platform, kick the tiller up, and he knows that's kind of like my like before I ever had a grab bar on my solo. I bet I went 5,000 miles on that thing, just freestanding on the very back of the boat, right in front of the transom. And people used to think, they're like, dude, you are crazy, and but I got good balance. It comes from my martial arts days, I guess, way back when. But no, I felt fine out there, man. I'm telling you, and I had a life preserver and all that. I had all my safety equipment. I had it on. I was tied into the boat. I'm not a cowboy, but man, it was. Going back to your question about taking it places. That was a lot of fun, and I felt good. And I went around this point where like the Intercoastal meets the St. Johns River, and it get pretty sloppy there, but it's a good place to test a boat in a chop, and you don't have to really worry about getting in trouble. But you can hit some nice, man. It runs a chop like a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, for what it is, like I said, I'm just thrilled to death with it.
Heck yeah, dude. So where's the craziest place you've sold one these days?
Where I've sold one?
Or where's the craziest you've had one go for a sale?
No, nowhere crazy. Most of the sales have been, north, southeast United States. Now I got a guy that's been kind of hammering me about sending him a container full to Hawaii.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was cool. And there's a guy in California getting one, and where else? That's the California and the Hawaii thing was, and a guy asked me about shipping one to Costa Rica. And matter of fact, because I was just jiving with him, I said, dude, don't they got a lot of pangas on the beach down there? And he started laughing. He goes, they do, man. He goes, but man, he goes, I like this thing. He goes, man, it's the perfect small panga, man. And he goes, and he goes, when I saw the video of you getting blown against the sandbar, he goes, man, I liked how it was real. He goes, you were just showing it. And he goes, man, it did good, man. And he goes, and I'm not a real big guy. He goes, I'm under 200. And he goes, and you were, blah, blah, blah. So, but anyway, that's it, man. I just started making it. I just made the first one a month and a half ago.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, man. Well, man, it's not me, man. It's been kind of crazy. I mean, my phone's been ringing off the hook, and I'm absolutely thrilled, especially because, one of the things that motivated me, to be honest, the plastic boat market which includes solo skiffs, kayaks. Man, all my dealers just keep saying, man, it's really, really slow, and it is. And I just thought, I don't want all my eggs in one basket, so I think I'm going to start doing fiberglass boats again. And that was kind of the kicker that made me say, okay, what the heck, man? Let's build this thing and see what happens. And I couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, dude, that I know when you had solo skiff. Dude, you saw those everywhere. I remember when I was seeing I think it was like Facebook ads were going around about them. That thing was sweet too, man. I mean,
Well, I still have it.
do you?
Oh yeah, I still own solo. I'm still manufacturing them. Yeah.
Do you still get a bunch of people ordering those?
Yeah, but like I said, that what so I've talked to a lot of people in the industry about it, but it goes in waves, and what it is after COVID. You know how everybody went out and was taking money they were getting, the checks from the government. Everybody was buying weight sets and bicycles and
Yeah.
kayaks. Well, I think a lot of manufacturers really ramped up production during that. And I think what's happened is, there's a lot of people that had extra money sitting around and said, I'm going to buy a kayak or a solo or whatever. There's still so many used boats out there. I felt it.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and and that was just one of those things that kind of made me, and this goes back to an old business friend of mine. We were, talking about having all your eggs in one basket type of conversation. And I said, you know what? He was right. So I'm going to venture out and do something else so I don't have to worry about, having a one line type of thing. And hey, I'm glad I did, man. It's right now. Like I said, man, I'm having a blast with it.
Oh yeah, dude. I kind of did this ass backwards, but let's go back a few years, dude.
Sure.
I still see Mitzi skiffs everywhere, man. I
Yeah.
mean, one of my buddies runs one. I had a bunch of friends that run them, dude. I mean, that is just a solid friggin' boat, man.
Well, thanks, man. Mitzi was fun, and it was funny. I started Mitzi. It wasn't a joke, but making it a company it was like an inside joke with one of my friends named Bill, and I always used to go, oh yeah, man, and I'd tell my then wife at the time, I was married back then, and she just kind of laugh and go, who's gonna buy a boat from you? Blah blah blah. Because I told her, I said, well, I'm going to build a few, and my original goal was just to build a little scratch mold, build 3, 4 boats just to pay for mine, right? Well,
Yeah.
next thing I knew, a company was born, and I was busier than a rat in a cheese house. And I mean, that's what happened. And man, the 15, got me going. But it was the Mitzi 17, which is by far and wide the most popular Mitzi. I mean, we sold 10 Mitzi 17s to every 15 or 16. And
Jesus.
yeah, man. I mean, it was everything everybody wanted in the 15. It was just a little bit more, it had a little bit more volume, so it would, handle more load, more people. It would handle a little bit, rougher water better. It was a good skiff at a good time. And, I've always believed, timing is everything, which I think that's one of the reasons the Versa 18, I think the timing is perfect for it. But Mitzi, and solo skiff too, but Mitzi was perfect time. Hell's Bay matter of fact, the first time I did a trade show, it was at one of Mark Castello, the owner of Dragonfly Boatworks. Mark's
Yeah.
the founder of Maverick. He was doing this thing called the Shallow Water Expo back then. He did it in Houston, and I went out to Houston, and that was and Flip and Hal Chittum and Chris Moorjohn were about 4 booths down from me. Kevin Shaw with Stiffy Push Poles was there. He was a few booths down from them, and Kevin and I have been friends ever since. Matter of fact, Kevin's honking at me to come out there to Corpus Christi and bring a Verso because he's got some dealer friends that want to see it. And but yeah, that kind of launched Mitzi. Then I came back and did a show up by you, another one of Mark's shows. Matter of fact, I think it was in Charleston. And that was right after we started putting the molded deck cap on it. And man, I don't remember, but we sold like 6 or 7 of them in that trade show. And that's kind of unheard of, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
And yeah, we went up there, man. And I mean, it was like, I mean, we had people 3, 4 foot deep around us, it seemed, the whole show, the whole weekend. And, yeah, and and you know, Mitzi it just rolled from there, you know, and, you know, years later, I ended up parting ways with it, back in 2010 for several reasons. But that was remember when the economy, uh, crashed out, you know, the real estate in 2009 and 10, which affected
Yeah.
bank loans. We sold through dealers. It was just, you know, one of those things. I was kind of burnt out.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I kind of erroneously on a whim sold it to somebody that called me one day, and I regretted it pretty quick. I was like,
Did
man,
you?
what did I do that for? But you know what? I don't, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda type of thing. If I'd have not done that, Solo Skiff may have never been. And
Right.
I started Solo Skiff a couple of years later. And I mean, the rest is history regarding that. I mean, that when I started, you know, solo, but yeah, Mitzi was a lot of fun, man. I see him all over the place. I still have guys that call and text me and think I still own it and ask me, hey man, how should I do this? What should I do this? And I'm like, hey, you know, I don't own it anymore. Oh, no way.
Yeah, dude, for the longest time, I still thought Mitzi was around, dude, because I saw so many of them, dude. I feel like you go down to, like, Charleston and Florida, dude, there's still Mitzi's
Well,
everywhere, and Crystal River.
they're built up in North Carolina now.
Are they really? I
Oh
didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah, man, yeah. They're still building them, man. The guy that bought it from me owned a couple of dealerships. He's the one that bought it, and he had some old warehouse that I forgot, but some yacht used to be built in, and he converted it to a manufacturing facility and started building them. And he's still cranking them out. I mean, I don't know, you know, how good they're doing or whatever, but I mean, I still see them pop up all the time, so they must be doing pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even know that they were built here. Now that is nuts. I'm gonna have to go and try and check that out.
Yeah.
But another thing, dude. I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. COVID and what it did to the boat market, man. I mean, everywhere. Not just salt water, not just fresh water, but dude, like the boat market as a whole was absolutely insane during COVID.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
are you starting to kind of like see effects from that COVID era after the fact? Like, I mean, we talked about it a second ago. We're seeing more and more boats get thrown on like Facebook Marketplace and the secondhand market every
Well,
day.
it's funny you asked that. I've had this conversation so many times in the last year. I don't know if you knew who Andrew is with Railblazer.
Oh, I know a couple of my buddies actually have one of those push pulls. Yeah.
Well, Railblazer Products is out of New Zealand, and you know they got a USA thing, and he's been with Railblazer for years. Before that, he was purchasing agent for ACK, Austin Canoe and Kayak. You know, they were a huge distributor, and then but anyway, Andrew and I talk about it a lot. You know, he's rooted pretty deep in the industry. He'd be an interesting interview.
Huh.
But Andrew and I became friends years ago, and we both have bounced it around, you know, because you know they've got a ton of dealers for their line of accessories, which is huge. And I've always been very, you know, I've always really liked their products because they work really good on a solo. But anyway,
Yeah.
Andrew and I both kind of concur that what I was saying, you know, the market got absolutely just flooded. You know, a lot of the big guys like Hobie and all them, they overproduced. And
Oh
now
yeah.
this is my opinion. This is, I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I mean, I can see it. Um, there was a lot of companies that sprouted, not really sprouted their roots, but really, really kind of took off during COVID and looked like they were really going somewhat, like, and I think it was a false sense of, wow, man, look, and when all that influx of money and all quit, man, there were a lot of dealers and distributors sitting there with a lot of inventory they couldn't get rid of.
Yeah.
And I felt it. I mean, and I saw it, and I call my dealers, and I'm down to earth with everybody. I'm not, just like sitting here talking with you. I'm just one of the fellas. And I called, a lot of my dealers, and I pretty much heard the same kind of thing. And I see it. I think you watch things like Facebook Marketplace, and it's a good indicator. And I see, man, now for a couple of years ago, man, I saw so many solo skiffs dirt cheap on there. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And it really told me, and when you see that's a sign of what people are dealing with. I mean, we all see. One only has to get on social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or whatever. I mean, there's people out there making videos that just ranting about, oh, I can't afford to live. I work 2 jobs to pay my rent and buy food and blah blah blah. Well, when you got people out there screaming about that 24/7, it seems, it's only, you only got to add one and one, then you think about, in our industry, well, no, that's why everybody's, dumping off things like kayaks and all, because, people want extra money, they're not using them. Maybe they bought it with extra money, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so to, directly, you know, tie that into your question, yeah, I do absolutely think we are still feeling whatever you want to call that COVID thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, I see companies that I know. I mean, I'm not going to name names. I know companies that were backed up a year. I mean, I'm talking about companies building, 30,000 and higher dollar boats that, their backlogs went from, 8, 9 months to a month or two. And that's a sign of the time. And I've had people ask me, why'd you do the Versa right now? Why is it priced where it is? And blah blah blah. Well, remember, it's not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
You know, I know what I could get a boat. I know what I could build a boat for, and what I got to do to, and I formulated a business model, and why the price of my boat is where it is, and I'm good. And I just think, if you don't adapt, economic times like this where there is a slowdown, you got to adapt and do something. And anyway, so yeah, I definitely think, we're still paddling upstream right now.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
definitely see it because, like, it's kind of nuts. Like, I used to have a bass boat. I was big into the bass fishing thing for a while there, and I had a bass boat that it was like kind of crazy. The guy who bought it had blown up his power head, and he was just like, dude, he's like, I blew up my power head, and he's like, I can't find another motor, and he's like, I'll buy your whole boat for the electronics and the motor, and I'll just keep that one sitting
No
around for
kidding.
I'll keep yours like sitting around for a for like a backup boat. He's like, if I blow up my power head again, he's like, I still have a brand, like, not a brand new boat, but like a '99
Right.
Skeeter with a with a motor hanging off the back of it when I finally get my motor. And dude, the dude bought my whole boat. I didn't have any
Wow.
business selling that boat for what I did. I ran that boat all through college, all through like after college, and I beat the shit out of that thing. And the dude was like, "Yep, I'll buy it right now." Sold it in 3 days.
Wow.
if a 99 Skeeter that was dogged for 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, it's been a funny, fickle, boat market for sure. And but there's always, you know how I look at it, Ryan, there's always people out there that are buying. I mean, hey, when I started this, I got to admit, I kind of scratched my head a couple nights and thought, man, do I need my head examined? Start this right now? And, you know, because I knew there's people out there buying boats, obviously.
Yeah.
And my biggest motivation was I really felt like I had something different and special. And the people that have shown up to look at it have all pretty much projected that to me. Like, wow, this thing is, this thing really is different. And I think when you have an economy like this, you can't follow the pack. You gotta grow some, and you gotta jump out of the bird nest, as they say, and do your own thing. I mean, you're never gonna learn to fly if you don't jump out of the bird nest. If you don't do something different, you're just following the leader. And I've never been that guy. And so I just said, nope, I'm going to go out of the south end of the nest. See y'all later. We'll see how far I get. And hey, man, I'm still flapping my wings and gliding, man.
Hey, that's all you can do some days, man. I mean, it is definitely kind of crazy to see how that market is going, where it's kind of nuts, man, how you have something special, but other than something like, I'm not mentioning any companies, but like the skiff market is insane. There's a few out there that are doing something different, and they're seeing how good it actually is that they have something different, because I kind of feel like, you know, the skiff market is kind of one of those things where it's a skiff's a skiff, It's kind of like you
Yeah,
can only do
I
so
know
much.
exactly. Well, you want to hear something I've said to quite a few of my boat building buddies
Yeah.
and family and friends. The question I I told everybody, I don't really, I have a lot of people that ask me, man, you got some really cool designs. That goes back, you probably didn't know about that. I had a really cool flats boat plug, um, a 17-foot skiff that I called the XS. I was just getting ready to build a mold. Make a long story short, a friend of mine had it at his shop, was moving his shop, left it out, had it outside beside the building, and he calls me up and he goes, "Hey man, did you pick up your plug?" And I go, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm in Jacksonville." And he goes, "Are you serious?" And boom, so my plug got stolen. Never, I looked for it for years, man.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, I now, if I had that, I would just kind of be, I would have to answer that question. Why should I buy your boat instead of buying, Charlie Brown's boat or, Bubba's boat? And I'm just trying not to name names. I'm not trying to be a
Yeah.
dork. But you know what I mean? And oh my gosh, Ryan, I hate that question because there's a lot of great skiffs right
Oh
now.
yeah.
Matter of fact, there's so many skiffs out there right now. I don't know how anybody makes money. Maybe that's why some of the prices are so dang high. If you can only sell 5 a year because there's 85 skiff companies, well, you're going to have to sell them for a heck of a lot or you're out of business.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, that's why hey man, that's why I just dare to be different, man, for that reason.
Yeah. Dude, we have a mutual friend, Lewis. He's doing something different too, and he
Lewis
makes.
McCoos at McCoos Craft.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
that's the
Yeah,
dude.
he's definitely bold. He is definitely boldly blazing a trail of his own. I've
Oh
been
yeah.
in his. I went up there to his shop, and I was very impressed.
Oh yeah. Dude, have you been
Super
in one of his
smart guy,
boats?
super nice guy, man. Geeky, nerdy engineering brain, kind of. That's why and we got along because of that. He's a CAD guy like me. I mean, we shared a lot of commonalities. Um, yeah, real interesting dude, man.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, what he's building too is unreal. I mean,
Oh yeah.
dude, it's on. Like, have you been in one of his boats yet?
No, I haven't been in one. I mean, I was at his shop when he was about half finished with the first 16, and I saw the 17, finished a couple of them, and no, but I haven't been in one. He said one of these days when he gets, when he drives by me again, he's gonna, let me know and. So I can go out on his boat. He wants to go out on mine too, and so one of these days we'll hook up and do it.
Dude, so I fished the. I don't know if you've seen the bird of prey. That might have been the one that you saw that he was in the middle of.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude, that boat is unreal. It
yeah.
it, it is so damn cool. We fished it in Charleston, and it was windy as shit one morning. That thing absolutely fucking mowed down chop. I mean,
Oh
it was
yeah,
one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. With the spray rails and stuff like that, it was unreal.
yeah. When I saw it when he was had it up on the jigs welding it, and being a hull designer, I was digging it. I was looking at it and said, I like how you did this, this, and this, and and then he talks about it, religiously, about his he elected to build it out of aluminum and why and blah 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 and uh yeah I he's one of the things that impresses me about his boat and him, uh I mean, it's like they go hand in hand because he's the whole deal,
Oh
and
yeah.
he is not letting anybody steer him away from what he believes. It's just like me with this new Versa. I had a couple of my friends literally tell me they thought I was batshit crazy. They said, "Man, nobody's going to buy that tippy little thing." And I'm like, and matter of fact, that's why I go out and made some of those. Hey, look how stable this thing is, And somebody made fun of me. I said that wasn't a very glamorous video. Did you see the video where I'm getting blown up against the sandbar? I keep like sitting on the gunnel, and the wind just keeps blowing me into the sandbar. And he's like, "Man, what'd you put that?" I go, "Because that's the real deal." And but I mean, that's what you got to do, man. In this gift market, you got to go out and do your own thing, and you can't play follow the leader. I mean, look, I love Chris Morjan's designs and the things he's accomplished, since Hell's Bay, and he's selling plans to guys, and everybody's out there building renditions of his boats. And I
Yeah.
mean, the market, you're just not gonna. It's kind of like the kayak market, okay? Let's go back to what we were talking about, Andrew and me talking, and what you were saying, you can only do so many things with a kayak, and the world yawns. I think that's why when I came out with Solo and I had that one video that got 20 million views, and Solo Skiff absolutely exploded. I mean,
Yeah.
we couldn't build them fast enough for a couple of years. But you know what? Now think about it. Why is that? Because it was radically different, And I think that's one of the things, even in a slow market, I was in the middle of a hot market.
Yeah.
And even in a slow market, I'm selling Versas, and and I tell you, man, one of my buddies, I mean, he didn't really almost talk me out of it, but man, I heard so many negative things from him, like, I don't know, man, I don't know. And I couldn't let that little devil creep into my head. I just said, hey, look, man, I just got to blaze forward and believe that this is my path that God has set for me, and I'm a boat builder, and I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to do it my way. And I tell you, Ryan, I don't regret it one bit. I'm stoked.
Oh, I don't blame you, man. I mean, I would be too, because that dude, I still need to get on one of those things, man.
Yeah,
Next
man.
time, Next time you're in North Carolina or South Carolina, let me know, and I'm gonna come get
Well,
on that thing.
I'm gonna be up there sooner than later to seeing my buddy Theo that's getting one.
Hell yeah, dude! Definitely hit me up and let me know when you're up here.
Oh yeah, oh I definitely will, man.
Yeah, dude. So my last question, of every podcast is, so I have a running playlist on Spotify,
Yeah,
and I I give 5 songs and you give 5 songs. Any 5 songs you want, whether it's a song you like or a song that you heard. I
yeah,
give 5 and you give 5, and I put them on the playlist. Um, and it stays on Spotify, and you get your 5 songs on there.
yeah. So are
So
you asking me? I got to name my 5 songs right now?
yeah, you can text them to me too.
Okay, I got to think about that, man, because something most people don't know about me. I've dabbled. I've been a musician for a long. I play the drums.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, yeah, man. I dabbled. I had a band, and so I have a wide array of music that I like.
Same here.
So that's a. I mean, I could just blam, 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 pop out 5 songs, but you know what? I'll probably, let, I can tell you one, believe it or not, I don't know if this will catch you off guard, because it's water related and all. It's about a boat. It's one of my absolute favorite mellow songs I absolutely love by Crosby, Still and Nash.
Oh,
Southern Cross.
yes, dude, I love that song.
That's definitely on my list. That's definitely one of the 5.
Dude, Crosby, Stills, and Nash is one of my favorite bands. So,
Oh,
funny story about Crosby, Stills, and Nash. When I was in high school, I had an old '07 Tahoe,
yeah.
and my mom was a big Crosby, Stills, and Nash fan as well, and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Um, and my like auxiliary port broke. I had to go and get it replaced by the time I ended up selling that Tahoe.
Yeah.
And my mom had an old box set of Crosby, Stills, and Nash albums. Giant
Oh,
box
wow.
set. It had like 15 CDs in it. And I rolled around and listened to Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Jimmy Buffett, and all these Grateful Dead CDs for the last year that truck was mine. Dude, like I love Wooden Ships is another great song from Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Crosby, Stills and
They
Nash.
have now, yeah, man. I mean, they had a lot of good stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I have to think about that, man. Because I mean, I go all the way from Crosby, Stills and Nash to Rush to Van Halen, Godsmack, and back to Christopher Cross and like Sailing with Christopher Cross and at Ride Like the Wind, he sang, got
yeah,
such a long way to go, I mean, I just have such a wide array of music I love. So you got one of them, and, I'm all over the map, but, let me think about that tonight, and I'll text it to you, and that'll be a cool one, and I can just get online and hear those, huh?
yeah. Oh yeah, I'll send you the whole playlist when I get done with it.
Sweet, man. That'll be, yeah, I got to think about that. I got to think, okay, the 5 Tom Mitzlaff songs.
Yeah,
That's a hard one, man.
dude, that's like I do it every week, and I struggle. I struggle like every week trying to come up with my 5 songs because like I listen to so much music every week. I mean, I work at
Well,
a
see,
golf
that's me,
course.
man. It's what's the feeling of the day, and that's, one day I might be country. One day I might be, heavy metal. And I don't
Yep.
mean like that kind of, I don't mean that. I don't mean thrash metal. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like, you know what I mean? Like, Metallica,
Quiet
I
Riot.
mean, huh?
Quiet Riot.
Down now, yeah. Bang
Yeah.
your head.
Oh
I
yeah.
can't tell you how many times me and my brothers back in the day when we jammed together played "Bang Your Head." That was one of the funnest songs to play, and especially the drum intro. You know, bow. Yeah. You get
Yeah.
me going on music. Well, we'll turn.
Oh, dude.
Next thing you know, it'll sound like a music podcast.
Hey, that'd be all right with me, man. I love music.
I have I don't know if you know what a cigar box guitar is.
Yes.
I made a cool cigar box guitar, and one of these days you're going to see it on a video. And I just keep forgetting to really do it, man. And I got like a compass rose on the face of it, and I made the cigar box itself. It looks like a cigar box, but I made it out of thin poplar. Oh,
Yeah.
and it resonates. It's a good, and it has a like a fish bone, kind of like a skeleton of a fish, you know, on one side, and on the other it has the Solo Skiff logo. And I pick it up and dally around with it all the time. And yeah, one of these days I'm gonna make like a little cool video. And I've been saying that for about 2 years. I just haven't done it.
That is pretty cool, though, man. Again, different. I like that.
Yeah, well, man, I got too many. I'm a guy with too many hobbies. I mean, I make
Same here.
recurve. I make recurve bows too, man. It's like,
Oh, do you really?
yeah, man. I like I said, I'm definitely when it comes to the real deal outdoors guy. I'm definitely hooked on the outdoors.
Me and you both, man. I might need to hit you up for one of those recurves, dude. I bow hunt. I got a compound sitting in my closet back here, and I need the deer. I need to kill a deer with a recurve bow.
I've never shot a deer with anything except a bow.
Same here.
Never went gun hunting. You know, I gave up the compound about 15 years ago, and been shooting traditional ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, only with bow, only harvested deer with bows I made.
That's awesome. That is so damn cool.
It's pretty cool. It's like a lot of people talk about, you know, going back to boats. They're like, man, that's got to be really cool. You know, I had quite a few people going, man, that's pretty wild. You go 10 miles out in the ocean in a weren't you scared? I'm like, heck no. I said, I'm not scared because I did make it. And I know it's not going to fall apart.
Yeah, I built it and it's not a piece of shit, and I know that.
Yeah. Oh, wait till you see, dude. When you put your hands on a Versa, everybody goes, wow, it's like bigger than I thought, but it's not really big, but it definitely, you know, because of the length, and everybody freaks out on the build. They're like, man, this thing is a tank.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something cool I haven't really talked about. You know, the boat's infused.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, I kind of came up with it's not really proprietary, but regarding how a Panga would be built, it's just different. The way I'm building it. Yeah, I just decided to do it that way, man. Pangas are kind of complicated to build if you're going to really build a real Panga without a lot. You know, I'm not talking about liners. I'm talking about the real deal. Everything's laminated together. That's what makes Pangas brutally strong. I made some of the decisions I did regarding the width, and you know, I didn't want a liner in it. You know, because I had to figure out how to build it, be able to sell it where I'm selling it at, and still make money on it.
Yeah.
And you know, I was sitting there thinking one day after building them, I was like, man, I wonder if I can infuse this thing and save myself, you know, because when it gets really hot, and you're trying to put a boat together that, like, if you came to my shop and I showed you, or, you know, when I see you, I'll show you all the pictures of when we were putting the first ones together. When you see, you know, how people go about building them, it'll dawn on you real quick, but it really dawns on you when you are standing there doing it. And so I thought, you know what? The technology and techniques are here. I've infused hundreds of boats myself, and so I just put 1 + 1 + 1 together and figured it out. But yeah, man, when one of these days you get down to Florida, you have to stop by the shop and watch me shoot one.
Heck yeah, dude, definitely, definitely. I can't. I'm actually probably gonna be down in Jacksonville for the Golden Isles Festival.
Oh,
I'm gonna
cool.
head down there. Hopefully, I couldn't make it this year, dude. The weather in North Carolina just was an absolute bitch, and I couldn't even leave the state for a couple weeks. But that's about all I got for you today, Tom. You want to give any last thanks and plugs?
Not well, man. I tell you, if, when it comes to thanks and plugs, well, first again, thanks for shouting out at me and saying, "Hey, man, you want to be on the podcast?" It was, always appreciate, everything is help spread the word, and talking to cool guys like you, it's always fun. And but yeah, I'll tell you who I thank. I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and God for giving me the skill, the mindset, the ability, the friends that I have, everybody that has helped me in the boat industry. I mean, I've had so much absolute great help from so many people, I mean, I can think back to the Mitzi days, like the first guy that ever really wrote a review of the Mitzi, Captain John Comiskey. I
Mm-hmm.
remember, John writing about the Mitzi. He wrote about the Solo, I'm just using John as an example. I've been very blessed. I know I talk a lot. I'm hyper. Uh,
I am too, and I do
I
both of
mean,
those
I've
things.
met so many people that have embraced what I've done, and I just want to thank all the people that have always been there for me, always, helped lift me up from my friends, family, people in the industry. I mean, I couldn't even begin to name enough, but, my biggest thing is, my faith and, my family, my absolutely amazing daughter and twin brother who worked with me at Mitzi all those years. And yeah, man, that's me, man.
Perfect, man. Well, I greatly appreciate you coming on as well, man. It was great shooting the shit with you and
Yeah, man,
speaking
I
with you,
had
dude.
fun, man.
What's up, guys? That was Tom Mitzlaff. Really cool episode. I mean, really smart guy. Had a very great insight on the boat industry, where it was, where it has been, where it is now, what he's doing, and dude, it was awesome. Super cool, dude. Once again, um, if you want to save free shipping on Cordina Eyewear sunglasses, rise_flies CLT at checkout. If you want to get a free month of Trout Routes Pro, go check out the show notes. And if you feel so inclined to leave a review on Apple, Spotify, and subscribe to the YouTube channel Rise Flies CLT, I greatly appreciate that. You guys have a great rest of your day. We have a really cool episode coming up next week. A couple cool episodes coming up next week, and looking forward to those. And 4th of July is coming soon. So you guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys soon.